right. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Abigail Scott, and I am so excited to have you all here today to share with you all the lovely Hannah from Liverpool. And we are going to talk about a subject that Hannah actually first exposed myself to a few weeks ago when we were going through inner voice facilitator training together. And in particular, at our last call in our ceremony, Hannah shared with us a special practice, shaking meditation, which I didn't know anything about. And I thought this might be the perfect topic to share with everybody in the community today, to make them aware of this just amazing modality, I guess I would call it, so that in case this is something that resonates with them, they can take it. And if it's not, that's their choice as well too, but just know it's there. And it's absolutely beautiful. So Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today and welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor.
Of course. So Hannah, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, and then ultimately kind of culminating that into how you first got started and exposed to shaking meditation.
Yeah, so I am Hannah. I am from Liverpool in the UK. I am kind of a yoga teacher. I say kind of a yoga teacher. I've just stopped teaching yoga. But I've been teaching for, it'll be 5 years. Well, I did my training 5 years ago in August. So that was kind of my exposure to starting to dive into the different modalities of the yoga practice. So not just physical, the meditation as well. And then, as you said, we've just finished our inner voice facilitator training. So I'm kind of incorporating that into my work now as well. I also hold women's circles, inner voice workshops, in-person events, but also online as well. But I think that is it.
That's a lot. That's a lot. I love it. So, all right. So tell us a little bit about like shaking meditation, because it sounds like you may have first been exposed to this in some of the yoga teacher training that you did. So when did you first start doing this, and how did this come about in your life?
So the first place I was exposed to it is I went to a meditation workshop in the city, and it was a meditation workshop, but then we did a dynamic meditation. I don't know if you're familiar with Osho and the dynamic meditation. So Osho is a teacher that came over to the West, or to America, in the 80s, and he brought this Kundalini practice over. So that's kind of where most people in the West know it from, is Osho. But it goes back even further. It's been a practice in many indigenous cultures for thousands of years. So I went to this workshop and we did the dynamic meditation, which is actually 5 stages. So your first stage is chaotic breathing. Your second stage is the shake. Your third stage, you jump up and down and go, hoo, 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 hoo. And then I think we do stillness, and then it's celebrate. So you just go wild. So that was kind of my first experience of it. And I kind of did it now and then, but not really too much. And then last year, when we went into lockdown, a yoga teacher called Naomi Absalom started doing Saturday morning yoga classes, and she incorporates shaking into her yoga classes. And I started having every Saturday these massive releases. Like I'm talking being on the floor, sobbing, crying. I didn't know what it was at the time, but obviously it was emotional beanbags, and I was in a really dark place. And then Rachel Brayton, Yoga Girl, started putting the shaking meditations on a platform just as classes. So I started to do them like 2 or 3 times a week, and I was having every time these massive releases where the tears coming out I knew were from years and years. It wasn't just from the time I was in then. And then once the studios reopened and I started teaching in person again, I thought, I want to start putting these into my yoga classes. So I started putting them in, and everyone, I think because obviously we were in the middle of a pandemic, there was a lot of a lot of trauma in people's bodies, so it was nice to give people this opportunity to move and release. So we'd do it on a Friday night, we'd do a little bit of yoga, we'd do a little shake, then I started making everyone dance as well, and then started putting them into my workshops and women's circles. And it's something that at the beginning when I started them, it was a lot of trauma coming out and a lot of crying, whereas now I find when I do the practice, I tend to do it every morning, it's more joy, so I end up laughing a lot.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
That's a long story.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing all that. There's a lot in there, so I want to tease out kind of pieces of it. So I think the biggest thing, and you just shared about it, is you've been trained in this, and this is a type of meditation. So I think the biggest thing for me, and maybe for some people watching this, is when I hear the word Hannah meditation, and I feel like in our society, when you think of meditation, it's sit there, right? Eyes closed, you're just in one spot. And for a lot of people, sometimes it's very hard to be in that stillness if they've never experienced it before. So the cool thing about all this, and like what you're also going to do a demo with us and share with us today, is like meditation, what I'm hearing you say, doesn't have to just be this stillness practice. So talk to me about that, because I think even just that concept for a lot of people, Hannah, like this is new and blows their mind, which is why I wanted to have you on to share people that meditation comes in all different forms, and this shaking meditation is something that's available to them.
Yeah, exactly. It can be quite overwhelming to, if you say to someone, oh, you're anxious or you're feeling overwhelmed, oh, just sit and meditate. As someone who suffers with anxiety in the past, sitting and being still when you're feeling anxious is hard. My knees go, I start tapping, like, and naturally you just move. If you've ever got a fright, or when your nervous system switches on and your adrenaline starts pumping, naturally your body shakes. So if you have got anxiety, the best thing to do is move your body. So you're getting out of your head and you're getting into your body, and you're moving through that energy rather than sitting in it and just letting it stagnate. For me, that just works so much better, and I can see it in people as a teacher. You can see the difference of someone feeling really anxious and just being sat still, and then still feeling overwhelmed when they leave a class, compared to feeling anxious, moving the body, really getting everything out that they can. I encourage people to shout and scream in classes. Most people are a little bit embarrassed by that, but the people that do, like, you can see after, like, the people have like psychedelic experiences. Like, I've had people leave class and go, oh, I don't know where I went then, but I went somewhere new.
Yeah, I love that. And you're right. Like, after, I've only done, so I'll be honest, gang, here, I've only done one shaking meditation, and that was with Hannah, and she led that virtually. Like we've said, Hannah right now is coming to us live from Liverpool. I'm up in New Hampshire. And when we did it as a group, it was, to your point, literally like talk about energy movement in the body. And I will never forget, Hannah, specifically, once we did the meditation and you had us stand still and ground. And again, we'll do this a little bit later on, this whoosh of energy that I just felt come right up through the ground and through my body. Like, people that are listening to this may be like, oh my God, you all are absolutely crazy. But until you do it and experience it, to your point, and you allow it and trust it and tap in, I think that's the biggest thing, is just tapping into your body, because there's so many signals that your body's giving you. I just think we're so busy or so anxious, to your point, that sometimes we just miss them, and you've just got to practice tuning in and feeling that.
Yeah, that's what I found. It was when I started doing them regularly last year at the beginning of lockdown, it was a really good way to let me feel my emotions without being too, because you're moving, you're not just being sat being aware of them, you're actually moving through them. And you can go scientifically, it's your nervous system. So when you're in fight or flight mode, you naturally shake. So when we are doing a shaking meditation, you're regulating your nervous system, so that when you do come into a situation that is stressful in your normal life, you're going to be better equipped to deal with it, because your body is going to know it's going to be easier to figure it out rather than just being this shock or being constantly in fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
And then spiritually, if you want to get into the weird stuff.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I love it.
It is a Kundalini practice. So when you are practicing, that energy that you're feeling is your Kundalini Shakti. So, you know, sometimes this might be a little bit weird, but, you know, sometimes you can feel that sexual energy moving up. And you know, if you're in a class and you're starting to feel a little bit, oh, what's going on there? You might like hide from it. But, you know, if we're doing it on through Zoom, like a workshop on Zoom or a women's circle on Zoom, you know, you can really let yourself go and just like let that energy move through.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That's great. That's great. Well, to your point, right? It gives you access to so many different things and just playing with it and allowing. And like, I appreciate you bringing up even like that sexual energy, because like that's normal. And that is part of being human and being a female and being a male. So like just bringing that to the surface and like talking about what can be a taboo topic, I think for a lot of people is important and something that does happen. And to your point, what I'm also hearing you say a little bit is like, some people struggle, to be honest, with like that sexual energy. And for some people, like they may not have much of a drive depending upon certain circumstances going on in their life. Or sometimes women, right, they get to a certain age and sometimes that does start to dip a little bit. Like that's part of life. So what I'm hearing you say is just moving your body will start to release old energy, bring in new, and then it might start to potentially, you might experience new feelings, new things that you just maybe haven't experienced before, but they've always been inside you and just haven't kind of resurfaced.
Yeah, exactly. It's remove, like we always talk about, is it's removing the layers to get inside to your deeper self. And as you are shaking, it brings things up. So like you might find anger. For me, it was always a lot of anger that was coming up. So that's why bringing the vocal into it as well, and like getting a little, you know, having a little scream or a little shout as you're shaking helps. And then the more you do it, the more you release. It's just beanbag releasing. So the more you release in the beanbags, then eventually, like you said, you get that new energy coming through. And it might feel a little bit weird, but it also feels really good because it's fresh and it's cleansing, it's healing.
Yeah. So do me a favor, Hannah, because some of the people may not know what the term beanbag is, right? And all this energy stuff. So for you and I, it's part of our lingo. It's second nature because we went through training with Jess Lively, and I will definitely link that in the show notes. So if other people are curious about Inner Voice and Jess Lively, we can link to her. And then I'll also link Hannah out to your page because you are now a facilitator as well. Congratulations, and can offer this practice to people. But what do you mean when you say bean bags and you're releasing that?
So emotional bean bags are the emotions that are stored in the body. So if you think about, for anyone listening, if you've had an experience where you've felt angry, we'll use anger for an example. So I've had many experiences where I felt really, really angry, like I could scream in someone's face. But especially as a woman or as a man as well, you kind of taught you're not meant to express anger. Anger's bad. It's not a good emotion to have. So, you know, we're taught to bury it. You've got to hold that anger in. So over the years, you might have held on to loads of different situations of anger. So that's what the beanbag is. It's the emotion. Eckhart Tolle calls them the pain body. So when we're releasing beanbags, these old emotions are coming up. So you might feel it in your head, maybe your throat, your heart. It can be anywhere. You're feeling into the emotion. You're breathing through it. Maybe you want to move through it with the shake. Maybe we're sneezing through it. Maybe we're crying through it. And then once you've moved through it and you've released it, it's gone forever. And it's as simple as that. It sounds really scary releasing old emotions, but it's actually much easier or simpler than you would think. Yeah. And you feel so much better after it.
I totally agree. I can totally relate to that. And you're spot on. Like for people, most of us are told like showing emotion is a sign of weakness, right? that sometimes, unfortunately, is kind of like the rep you get a little bit. And what we're actually encouraging and what you're telling us here is like, feel into that, because that again is your body signal. Get curious and like, right, like peel back that onion, like we were talking about, bring that awareness and allow it to safely lift and release from your body. Because when you start to store them all up, that's when, right, like heaviness, you feel like the weight of the world's on your shoulders, like you start to bring in some of that catabolic energy, which just may not serve. So I love that this is, shaking meditation is a way also for all individuals, males, females, everybody, to move that energy through, to feel it, and maybe release any old stored bean bags that just may be holding them back from, you know, doing whatever they want to do and fulfilling their dreams in their life.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting that when you do, like the difference that you feel in your body. I know, going back to the anger, I had repeated water infections, and I was going to the hospital and having scans, and they couldn't figure out why I wasn't having water infections, but I was having the symptoms. So in the end, I don't know why I didn't do this in the first place, because this isn't like me, but I ended up Googling. I was like, what is the spiritual meaning behind water infections? And I discovered that it's stored anger. And I was like, wow, that makes so much sense. So I've released a lot of anger. I punched a lot of pillows and screamed into a lot of pillows, and touch wood, I haven't had one since.
Wow.
Literally not one since.
Good for you. Wow,
So
that's so amazing, that connection. When you looked up the spiritual meaning, huh?
Yeah, it made a lot of sense.
That's universe alignment right there, huh, sister? Wow. That is wild. That is wild.
I've had so many doctor's appointments and took so much antibiotics, and it was like all I needed to do was scream into a pillow for a few minutes.
But it just goes to show, like, back to basics is what you're saying. Like, right? Like these teachers and mentors that you had to go through the shaking meditation, like that's what a lot of these cultures are bringing to the Western, right, culture, is like, go back to basics sometimes and just release it and get it out and use our own body. Our own body is a tool to allow us to ground and to clear some of this, to make space for the new.
Yeah, definitely.
I love it. So Hannah, so what would you say, like, who's a good candidate, or who should try shaking meditation?
I mean, I would tell anyone to have a go. You know, even, you know, if you're in a wheelchair and you can't stand up, you can shake with your arms, with your hands. You can shake your body. You know, we've been on the calls on our training, and we've been releasing, you know, I've been sat there doing all this, not stood up. I would just say have a go. If you're feeling a little bit stressed, a little bit anxious, just try it. And if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. But just, I'd recommend next time you're feeling a little bit stressed, give yourself a few minutes, put an upbeat song on, whether it's an angry song or a fun song. Shake it out. Don't think about it, just feel it for a few minutes, and then see if you feel any different about the situation that you're in. You might not, and that's fine. You've just had 3 minutes of moving your body, and no one's going to be complaining about that. Or you're going to feel completely different about it. It's going to be a lot easier to handle, and you're going to feel better in yourself.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is, like, you literally can do shaking meditation anywhere, anyhow. So like, yes, you could stand, you could, like, I'm sitting too. So just like sitting in your chair, whether I'm thinking for people that might be listening, whether you're literally like at work, or you're in a car, or you're on an airplane, like what I'm hearing you say is this is so accessible and available to people, no matter the environment that they're in.
Definitely. I mean, I did used to have a normal job, and I did often used to hide in the stockroom and do weird things like this when customers would annoy me. So you can do it anyway. There's no excuse. Yeah, your colleagues might think you're a weirdo, but at least you'll be happier.
Yeah, that's exactly. You're happier. And to your point, like I could see this. I also came from like a normal job, like the 9 to 5 type of thing. And like go like lock yourself in the bathroom stall if you don't feel comfortable,
Yeah.
right? To your point. Or go like out in your car and just sit in your car for like 5 minutes. And I think that also leads me to another question I have for you, Hannah, is like how long are you supposed to, I guess supposed to, I'm using in air quotes, like shake for? Like what is the standard practice in terms of length, if there is one?
I mean, same with a normal seated meditation. Absolutely anytime. I personally use a certain song that is, I think, about 12 to 14 minutes long.
Okay.
You don't have to do that long. Maybe to start, you want to do a minute and just see how you feel after a minute. Then maybe go up to 3 minutes. Then maybe 5, and maybe work your way up. I mean, you can do it for half an hour if you wanted to. There's absolutely no limit on it. The only thing that you should do is just feel and not think about it.
Yeah. So using this as an opportunity, to your point, whether you've got 3 minutes or 30 minutes to get out of your mind, to get into your body, peace, calmness, clarity is really what people can kind of the benefit of this practice.
Yeah, I'd recommend as well, if you are, however long you're going to shake for, I'd recommend doing some stillness after. So don't shake and then go straight into whatever you're doing. Shake and then add on another little minute or two just to be still with the eyes closed and just feel everything that's coming through. The stillness after the movement is just as important. It's giving your body that chance to be still again, your nervous system to be like, okay, we're still again, we can come back to neutral. It gives you a chance to feel everything that's came up.
Yeah. So question around that stillness, because some people might be wondering, is like, giving yourself that stillness time post shaking, but like, how do you know when to come out in the stillness?
Whenever you feel called. There's, a lot of times you can be sat in meditation, you might be thinking about when you're going to be finishing. I really like to put a timer on. If I know my mind's being a little bit overactive, put a timer on, and I know that I've got that amount of time and the timer will go off when it's ready to finish. Or putting a song on. I like to make playlists on Spotify. So I'll do the shaking song and a stillness song. And I know that once they've finished. Or as I said, you can just, whenever you feel called to stand back up, you might want to, after you've done it, you might just want to be lying on the floor for an hour, just enjoying the vibrations.
Totally.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong.
Awesome. That's great to know. So we're definitely also going to have to link to some of your playlists so people can have a little bit of fun with that. And I love that it sounds like you've got certain songs to shake to. And then it's almost like what I'm hearing you say is when you hear a different song, that's kind of like come back to stillness and just transition in.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. That's as a teacher, I know I can hold space to myself. So the song is kind of just like the guide for me to know. And sometimes after the stillness, there might be another song and I might have a dance. I might want to shake, be still. Then I might want to dance a little bit and then be still again. So whatever feels good, whatever's going to be fun for you in that moment.
I love that. So speaking of all the shaking meditation, what do you say if we kind of do one and show people like how to do this thing and take us through it?
Of course. Yeah.
All right.
I will stand up. Oh,
hey, I'm going to stand up with you too. I'm going to get off my chair.
I'm sat on the floor as always.
It's all good. All right.
There's never a time where I'm not. I will just adjust.
Hey, whatever works. That's extra grounding if you're doing stuff on the floor. And I actually do that a lot too, to your point.
I love being on the floor. I'm just going to... my legs are a little bit sore from a class I did today. Just so I remember, do I need to turn on original sound?
I believe so. Yeah. So then that will come through for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, so
And now, as we prepare for this, Hannah, like, what in terms of, I'm probably not wearing the best outfit today, but like, is there anything that people should wear or prep or anything in order to do this?
anything that's comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what you're wearing. You can be naked if you want to. I'd be
Yeah.
lying if I said I'd never done it naked before.
That's going to be a whole nother level of freedom. I like that idea. Hey, I've never done it, but you just inspired me to try.
There we go. If we could, yeah, we could do it. Maybe not while we're on Zoom, but that'd be another type of video. Yeah, anything that you're comfortable in. That was I kind of wanted to mention as well is I like to create like a sacred space. So if a teacher's not guiding you and you're just doing this by yourself, creating a little space in wherever you are. So I mean, obviously, if you're in work, you can't do that. That's fine. But if you're at home, maybe saging the space a little bit, maybe setting up a little altar, maybe using some crystals, or just maybe a little picture of someone that you love, just a nice little environment
Yeah.
that you can kind of get into. I always like to open the space with even with just a breath, and then also closing the space as well. So for me, that's a really important part of the practice because we are opening up to different energies. It's nice just to sit and close, not even sit and close, but just close the space so that the energies, the spirits, the angels know we're closing off now. Which
Yeah.
sounds a little bit weird for anyone listening, but if you are into this type of stuff, it makes sense and it feels nice as well for you. You know that the practice is done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Perfect.
Oh, it's hard to stand up. So can we see me okay? I'm a little.
Yeah, we can see probably from like your neck down a little bit.
Yeah, I'll just show me feet first.
Okay.
So I just so that everyone can see.
Yep.
Um, so I like to bring my feet a little bit further than hip distance apart, but whatever's most comfortable for you. But you definitely want a little bit of space, feet together. I mean, it still would work, but you want to be able to be a little bit loose. You
Yep.
want a little bit of a bend in the knee,
Okay.
and then to get the shape going, it's just a bounce on and off the heels.
Yep.
And then you'll just naturally see that the body starts to shake. So I'm just going to get a little bit of a cushion for my feet because my mum's working underneath.
I love it. Now, Hannah, one thing I'm noticing is you are barefoot. I am too, because for me, it just feels like grounding and nice to have that level. But would you recommend that or talk to us a little bit about that, if that even matters?
Yeah, I would recommend being barefoot just because we're getting that ground and connection with the floor. So
Yeah.
this again is science, this isn't just woo. When we are connecting or either our hands or our feet to the ground, we're getting something called ground reaction force. So energy from the floor is literally moving up through our body,
Mm-hmm.
up the legs, up through the pelvis and up through the spine. So that's a really helping us to ground. But if you are gonna do this in work, then keep your shoes on. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
you're still gonna get the shaking, and that's okay. Once we are kind of getting going, feel free as well if you wanna. I always like to make my hands shake a little bit more, but you don't have to.
Okay.
So if we all want to close the eyes, I'm just gonna get the music ready.
I'm going to take off my glasses here just in case, because you never know what's going to happen with the shaking. So to your point, get comfortable. And if there's anything
Yeah,
on you physically, like glasses like me, just maybe put those down so you can really just let loose and see what goes.
of course. So closing over the eyes and just starting to take some nice deep breaths. So in and out the nose or in the nose, out the mouth, whatever feels good for you. And just beginning to send the awareness down into the body. And just beginning to let go of any expectations of what this practice should feel or look like. And as we do start to move through the shake, just continuing this focus of sending the awareness down into the body and just observing, feeling into anything that comes up for you, really using the breath as we would in an inner voice session to blow away any thoughts. And then as soon as you hear the music coming in, just starting to bounce on the heels and just starting to feel that shake moving through your body. So it might be that you're just starting off quite small, just starting to get to know the shape. Anytime a thought comes in or you're thinking about what you're doing, just exhale this moment. And to close our space, we're just going to take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth. So taking a nice slow inhale. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale nose. Exhale mouth. Last one, inhale. And exhale. Gently blinking the eyes open. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh man.
Feel.
Oh, so good. For me right now, coming out of that experience, you know, you talked a lot at the beginning about like the energy you feel, right? So no doubt, I will say right now, my feet like are tingling like crazy, like good tingles.
Yeah.
But you really can, like, coming into that stillness, you can feel it in your body. You like no doubt can feel it. And I will say, knowing that this is now my second time doing it with you, each time has been different. So I think getting people to notice that and just know like that's okay and that's normal, and you're gonna feel different things because every day and every part of every day is unique.
Exactly. And you know, there's been times where I have done a 15-minute shake, and the whole time I've just been thinking about whatever situation I was in at the time, or thinking of things, and I finish it and I go, what was the point of me doing that? Because I just thought the whole way through, and I haven't felt or been aware. So yeah, there's no pressure for every practice to be perfect. And if anyone listening can get to a class or even an online class where someone's leading, there's something about being in a group. I mean, obviously being online is amazing, and I'm so grateful that we can do this, but being in person, doing the shaking all together, powerful.
Just a whole nother experience, like vibrational frequency wise, playing off each other.
And it's nice seeing, especially when you incorporate like the vocal side of it, like seeing people just let themselves go, who you wouldn't expect to just really like go for it, is amazing. It's so good.
I love it. It's almost like this concept, and we've talked about this before, Hannah, going through Inner Voice together, of like these experiences of like bringing out your inner child, and when I heard you too, like start to just really let loose vocally, even as we were going through that, like it almost like gives other people permission to do the same. And just like literally when you say let it go, like anything goes, and just feel it on that level. Because I think what happens a lot of times is like, again, we start to get older and older, and like that inner kid is still always within us, and like tap into it and just allow it to come through and notice how you feel even more.
And you know yourself, like the inner voices love fun. They don't want anything serious. And I think a lot of time we think a meditation practice needs to be really serious and by the book, and it's got to be this and this, where you can just have fun with it. Like you might cry shaking, you might feel really angry and need to scream when you're shaking, but then after that you can have a laugh, and you can laugh at yourself, go, oh my god, I've just screamed for no reason, or and especially in the class, I'll see in classes, like you'll see people starting to get the giggles and they feel bad because they don't want to be laughing, but like laughing is part of it as well. Laughing is giggling is a page too. It doesn't be so serious all the time.
Oh, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think everybody listening probably does, is because, again, it's like another form of meditation, and it's okay to have fun and to giggle and to just be alive, right? Like that's human. So I feel like you just gave us all permission, which like I'm grateful for.
Go and get the giggles, go and have a dance and move your body.
I love that. So Hannah, two final things that I was just thinking about before we end with a question that I always like to ask everybody that I interview with. But one is, I will tell you, as I was going through, I did notice at certain points, like my bra strap, if people like have their eyes open, we're going through. So I would say one thing maybe in terms of preparation is if you're not doing this naked, or if you don't, whatever, right, is maybe do be a little conscious about like what you're wearing. If you've got a good bra and you want some support for people that want that, that was one thing I noticed.
Yeah. See, I've got the world's smallest boobs, so I don't wear bras. So like I don't, but I have had times where I've got like a little strappy vest that I'll wear, and I have been teaching before, and like the straps coming down and my boobs nearly coming out, and I'm like constantly having to fix. So that's I didn't think about that yet. Something that you're not going to have to constantly be fixing.
Yeah, exactly, because it keeps you more in the practice and in your body and just center. And then the other thing I was thinking about, Hannah, is share with us, like, this is so accessible no matter where you are, anything. What about time of day? Does it matter when you do this? Do you recommend doing this multiple times a day? Like, tell us a little bit about that, because like the experience felt so good, but I was just curious. Like the 2 times I've done it with you, it's always been kind of like midday, and I haven't necessarily practiced with it at the beginning or at the ends. So share with us a little bit maybe about that for people that might be interested.
Again, I'm probably the most annoying person in the world to anyone who's very structured, but I'm just like, whenever it feels good. I personally, now I'll do it as part of my morning practice. Not every day. I can do my morning practice as whatever I fancy doing on that day. But it would tend to be in the morning. But I know a few months ago, I was having going through a bit of traumatic time, and when I was having panic attacks, I found that doing the shaking was really helping me. So that would have been numerous times throughout the day, but that was helping me to move through the energy. So whenever you feel called, if you're doing a yoga practice in the morning or the evening, feel free to incorporate it. I used to do it in the classes of an evening. So I don't know whether with an evening shake, you might end up being really wired.
Like I feel
being like a lot of energy.
Correct.
So maybe the morning would be a little bit would be more beneficial, but whenever it feels good.
Because to your point, like some people might be night owls, so maybe they want to wake that up, and that's when they want to go. For me personally, I'm more of a morning person, so I could see myself using it more in the morning, or honestly even midday, because sometimes I get those like midday slumps, right? So like that could be something like, rather than grabbing that extra cup of coffee, that like, do you really need it? Again, back to basics, use your body to help just like move things around. I love that.
Exactly. I find naturally, if I've been sat down for a while, like at my laptop or something, I'll naturally just want to stand up and just shake things out and just get a little. And I find naturally now, when I am in situations, I told you about this, or I think I said it to the group in the training, when I was going on a date, and I had a panic attack for going on a date.
That's a big deal. That's a lot.
My friend was helping me get ready, and I was like stood there shaking, and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, it's going to help me.
But I think to your point, right, and that's why we did this today, is like learn about shaking meditation. This is another tool that anybody in the world can put in their toolkit and try it. And if it works for them, just know you have access to this at any point, before you go out on a date, while you're at work, before a big presentation. Like, play with it and have fun, and just know it's available.
That's it. I forgot to mention before, like it is an animalistic practice, so it's all land animals shake. So when a dog has been lying down for ages, it gets up and it shakes. Or you see ducks fighting in a pond, or birds fighting, when they come away, they shake it off. Like, it's just such a natural human or mammalistic instinct, if that's a word.
Yeah, you're totally right.
It's not just a crazy yoga thing.
Well, I really do. I also appreciate that. Like you brought today both the scientific piece of this, because there is science backed behind this and all the practices, and then also the spiritual side. And I think that's the beauty, is like this embodiment, right? Mind, body, spirit. And it's all there with this practice, which is really cool. Really, really cool. So thank you so much for sharing this with us today.
Oh no, thank you for having me on to talk about it. Anytime I get to talk about anything like this, I'm like a little child, I get very excited.
I love it. I love it. All right. So Hannah, I've got one final question for you that I always ask everybody that comes on the show. And that is just, what's one piece of advice that you would like to share with this audience today?
The thing that I would have liked to have heard a year ago or 5 years ago was just trust. And that is so annoying for all the minds, but trust that something bigger is looking after you, and that anything that's coming into your life, whether your mind is perceiving it as bad or good, it's coming through for a reason. And if it is something that's really, really bad, you might not be able to see it right now. And it might sound really annoying for your mind. But in a few years, you're going to be able to look back and go, oh, that's why I went through that experience. That's why that happened. And like, I look back at numerous experiences I've had, and I'm so grateful, because I wouldn't be who I am today without them. Just trust that it's all for a bigger reason. And you will always be okay, no matter what.
Yeah.
My inner voice promises that.
Well, thank you for that. We can all use a little trust. I love that. It's a good reminder that there is more out there, the universe, whatever you want to call it, that is always guiding us, and just allow it. And things happen for a reason. And just knowing that, knowing that.
Exactly. And that's speaking from experience. That's not just a positive vibes person.
Yeah, it's great. That's great. Awesome. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing this beautiful practice and doing the demo with us. I can't wait for everybody to give this a try, give this a listen, and to also hear what their experience is with this shaking meditation.
Oh yeah, me too. I'm excited to hear what everyone gets from it, or if they use it.
Awesome. Well, listen, like I said, for everybody listening, watching, in the show notes, I will include a few links to some of Hannah's playlists, to Hannah's website, if you'd like to learn more and to reach out to her. She does offer these virtually, like she mentioned. So she can, zoom in from Liverpool, which is great. And yeah, just keep us posted how this goes. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Have a great day.